And I also want to add that this process is completely like people powered and led, right? Like from the ideas that are reviewed to the ballots that are created, like it's New York City residents kind of having a say as to how the government is, or how as a government agency we're spending part of the city budget. Also want to amplify how our assembly members are super diverse in age, demographics to really represent their borough. Youth, there's no age restrictions of like how old you can participate. So we've had members as young as about like, I think it was a 12-year-old.
This year we have a 14 and 15.
Yeah, so like it's really inclusive and inclusive to youth and really trying to involve youth in the process at an early age so that they become more civically engaged. And then two, I really want to highlight how it's like an iterative process, how every year we reflect on what happens, we review the surveys from participants and really try to improve the process.
So first of all, thank you so much for being here today and for your interest in the program that we are going to be talking about today, which is the People's Money, New York City's citywide participatory budgeting program. And this program has a couple of different parts to it. And we are now about to launch the second part, which is Borough Assemblies. And these Borough Assemblies follow the first part, which is idea generation sessions that happen in the fall, where New Yorkers propose a lot of ideas about solutions they want to see in their neighborhoods. And what we are going to be doing in this phase is that New Yorkers are coming together to pick from these ideas and decide what is going to go on the borough ballot that New Yorkers will be voting on later in the year. And assembly members are, for each borough, they're randomly selected. And the random selection process ensures that we have a group that represents the borough. So that's just a very high level overview. It's a really exciting project for us. And this is, as the Civic Engagement Commission, our charge is to strengthen civic participation, really strengthen democracy, help build civic trust. And this is one of our core programs that is charter mandated. And for those who don't know, we were started in 2018 as a result of a ballot measure where over a million New Yorkers voted to create the Civic Engagement Commission. And our focus is, like I said, strengthening civic participation. And it goes a little deeper than that. It's not just about increasing the numbers of people participating, but actually to strengthen the quality of their interaction with government. And that's why the charter mentions civic trust as something we should be working towards. So increasing participation, but really to strengthen democracy. So I'm going to turn it over to Hillary to talk a little bit more about assemblies and how they work.
Thank you, Dr. Said. So just to kind of get more granular about what these assemblies are, we will be having 4 sessions that start this Friday on Saturdays and or Sundays that go through, it starts this Saturday. So January 24th is our first session. And then there'll be 3 additional sessions that run for 5 hours on the weekends until February 22nd, when we conclude. And during these sessions, there will be facilitators who are leading the members through deliberative processes to come to the decisions that Dr. Said mentioned about what ideas are going on the borough's ballot. And over the course of these sessions, members get to hear from city agencies, which they'll hear from on Saturday. They get to hear from our community-based partners, which are nonprofits that are working with us throughout the phases to both collect ideas and then vote on these ideas. So we'll be hearing from these community partners. They'll also be using their lived experience from, their lives in the boroughs and maybe their work to bring to bear upon which ideas they think are most valuable or most, relevant for the borough's ballot. And yeah, these sessions really focus on, deliberation, collaboration, and trust building, not only amongst the members themselves, but also, as Dr. Said said, between the members and our agency. So building a bridge between people's lived experiences in the boroughs and their experiences of government. And I'll pass it to Benjamin to talk about how this phase and the borough assemblies are one of our key sort of innovations as to how we run participatory budgeting that is different from how other cities may run it.
Thanks, Alerty. Yeah, thank you so much. Participatory budgeting is done around the world. It was started in Brazil a long time ago, or several decades ago. And it always involves getting ideas from residents and then deciding what should go on a ballot for people to vote on. And in the common form, that's like maybe a group of volunteers that sit around and decide over for a couple of hours or so to decide that. We, as we were kicking off our process 4 years ago, went to a conference about the civic assemblies or citizen assemblies, which are also happen around the world and rely on, as Dr. Saeed said, the random selection of residents to make to inform decisions for their community. So we decided, thanks to Dr. Saeed and Wendy Troll, who's not here right now, but decided to incorporate that into our process because we really want to focus. Like we know we get all the ideas from residents. Anybody can be a part of that. We allow everybody in the city to vote over 11, but it had always been a little more isolated in the middle part, a little more not as transparent. So we do an application process. We bring in as many people as can apply. We had over 1,100 people apply this year from our partners around the city. And then they get randomly selected, 25 people per borough to make the final decision to go through those ideas and decide what goes on a ballot. The projects have to be feasible. Of course, they have to follow certain criteria, but other than following legal requirements and being executable, they make the decisions. So they decide what 10 projects go on each ballot, 6 in Staten Island. And again, it's really about that we trust that their lived experience in their borough will give them insight into what their community needs. Everybody across the borough has given us ideas. So we wanted, then they start to decide what happens in the final decisions before people vote. I think that's it. That's what I'll pass it back to Hill to talk about some of the logistics. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, so there's a few, thanks, Benjamin. There are a few things that we're doing differently this year. As mentioned, this is the 4th time that we're doing borough assemblies overall in the 4th cycle, but we've learned from past years. I know that we've incorporated some of those learnings from this year. So one of the things is that last year we held sessions on weeknights, thinking that that would be helpful for working people to hold them in the evenings, but we actually found out that it was difficult given the accessibility of certain spaces that we wanted to use as sites. So we were using schools and libraries and these kinds of places. The opening hours were difficult for us to be accommodated during those hours. So we've shifted to weekend sessions. And we're also decreasing the number of sessions from 6 to 4. So last year, we held 6 weeknight sessions. And this year we're holding 4 weekend sessions. And the key difference here, apart from just the timing and the days, is that the sessions are longer because people who were involved last year told us that they actually wanted more consecutive time to work together. So initially we anticipated, we had sessions that were about 3 hours long on weeknights. And people told us like, that's not enough time. We actually want more time together to talk and deliberate and spend consecutive hours together. So we're not only making the sessions themselves longer, but we've actually tacked on, I think, 4 additional hours overall, right, Benjamin? Yeah. So we've made the sessions longer, consecutive, so that people have more deliberation time that's uninterrupted. And actually responding to assembly members and facilitators' requests for more time together, which surprised us because asking people to essentially volunteer their time on a weekend or a weeknight after work seems like a big ask, but actually people wanted more time. So that was really encouraging, and we made that shift for this year. Also, the obvious distinction there is that it asks people to commit fewer calendar days. So going from 6 to 4 makes it easier for people to just commit to those 4 days, being in town and being present with us. And finally, just as I mentioned, logistically, it makes it easier for us to secure venues. So, and those venues to be accessible. So I think those are the sort of logistics logistics shifts for us this year and what's new. And unless anyone else has anything to add, Benjamin?
To clarify one point that, we recognize that people's time is valuable, so they are compensated for this, because it's a big commitment, and they do provide food and try to make it easier for anybody to accommodate, so that, it's not financially burdensome, or, so we can't do a lot, but we do what we can to make that possible.
Yeah, both the assembly members themselves and the facilitators in the room are stipended, if they're not CEC staff.
And I also want to add that this process is completely like people powered and led, right? Like from the ideas that are reviewed to the ballots that are created, like it's New York City residents kind of having a say as to how the government is, or how as a government agency we're spending part of the city budget. Also want to amplify how our assembly members are super diverse in age, demographics to really represent their borough. Youth, there's no age restrictions of like how old you can participate. So we've had members as young as about like, I think it was a 12-year-old.
This year we have a 14 and 15.
Yeah, so like it's really inclusive and inclusive to youth, and really trying to involve youth in the process at an early age so that they become more civically engaged. And then two, I really want to highlight how it's like an iterative process, how every year we reflect on what happens, we review the surveys from participants and really try to improve the process so that it's one, more engaging and interactive to them, but two, also kind of staying true to the value of having civic assembly and having community members be together to reflect on what needs their community have, both with connecting to their own lived experience, but also with the community-based organizations that they hear from, and the government agencies as well.
Yeah, can I just add, like, did you want to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna add the point, adding to the innovation points, just, that the CEC is the only government agency in New York City to use the Civic Assembly.
That's right. Yeah. And I want to just go back to where we started with the creation of this office, right? The Civic Engagement Commission was created at a time in which, if you think long history of our country, where trust is very low between communities and government. And this was one path to strengthen and fortify that relationship between communities and government. And one of the issues that happens with community engagement is that people come to tables, either first they don't know about the table, so they won't come, or they know about the table and they come and they don't feel like their voice is heard. Right? So this program and this phase is really responding to that, in the sense that it's creating a table for them to come to, and they have meaningful say on what will happen, and their say is taken seriously. And it affects the rest of New York City. So it's very consequential because it's creating the ballot for who is going to be. If you will, it's a little bit like a primary, but for projects in a way, because it's deciding the ballot. And then the other thing I want to stress is that people get frustrated with government because, again, they don't feel like government's responding to what they're saying. And I think not only the way that people go through it, but the way that we are being reflective about people's feedback and adapting, all of those things the government can be responsive, can shape programs and policy in response to what people are saying.
I'll just add one point to Sarah's framing of the issues sometimes with public engagement. You know, she said either you don't know about the table or you do know about the table and you show up and you feel like your voice isn't heard. A third issue oftentimes is that it's the same people over and over showing up to the same table.
Yes.
Right, and our process corrects for that with the sortition random selection element. So instead of just inviting the broader public, say, come in and make decisions, and then the same people come again and again, this is a randomly selected group. So it makes for a really diverse, as Jorwell said, group, because we select them based on the demographics of the borough, but it also makes for a diverse group in terms of experience with government and contact with decision-making power and government agencies, because these people may not have ever been at that table before and now have this opportunity as a result of a random selection. So that's really cool.
And we also don't repeat assembly members, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're an assembly member once, you won't be able to be an assembly member the following year. So that way, because it's such a small cohort, it allows there to be a new group or new participants every year.
Yep.
And now.
Lastly, we provide interpretation also. So other language people who like, this year we're having Urdu, Bengali and Spanish represented in some of the boroughs, so.
So language won't be a barrier.
Yeah.
If we have, I think that's all of our points, correct? Yeah, so we'll open up the floor to any questions. Folks in the room, if you guys want to ask your questions first, and then we'll open it up to those, virtually.
You mentioned this model having started in Brazil some decades ago or something?
Participatory budgeting started in 1989 in Porto Alegre, Brazil. The first modern civic assembly was in Vancouver 20 years.
And what about are there any examples in the United States?
Yeah. Cambridge, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle,
Denver.
Greenboro, just
Oh, PD?
PB.
As in terms of PD, yeah.
Yeah,
We're the only ones that combine the two processes. The PB is done globally,
Boston just announced their vote phase,
right, Boston.
started theirs. But city council has been doing participatory budgeting for some time in New York City as well. The way that our process is different is that it's citywide. Because city council members opt in, so not all of them do it. And they usually put 1 million of their discretionary funding on the ballot, for people to ideate on and decide on. But because they're not all doing it, that was another reason to make it like a citywide program through this commission.
And then at that point it's by borough is how you're defining it.
The ballots are by borough.
It's by
Yeah.
borough, and how much is, so there's a certain amount of funds allocated for this?
Yeah.
And it's $1 million, you said?
It's 4.
4.
Yeah, it's 4 right now. It was 5. It's 4. I mean, it's been a little bit different depending on the pegs, the budget situation. Yeah.
Okay.
But currently this year, the process is 4 million.
What in years past has been out of this program?
Yeah.
What kind of projects?
Yeah, what kind of projects?
yeah, I mean, we've had, in year one, we had an extraordinary number of programs, I think like 46 come out and be funded because we were doing, in addition to the borough process, we were doing a neighborhood process. But in the past 2 years, since year one, we had 20 projects that were funded across the city. And so they generally, I mean, they run the gamut each year, right? They run the gamut in terms of like content from youth mental health programming to job skills training to
Support for older adults. Like, I think last year there was a program that was like, helping older adults in Brooklyn with like home repairs and errands.
There was one about fighting violence in Harlem this past year. On the ballot was just like a period pantry in Brooklyn, self-defense for women.
Yeah, we can send you a list of the
Mhm.
projects that
Yeah.
have, that were funded and that are actually happening now and that were completed. And we created a series of videos actually about last year's projects. So those are all available.
And for context, also just so you guys understand the timeline, we're currently, the Borough Assemblies are preparing for the ballots that we're gonna be launching, but last summer's ballots that were voted on, those projects are currently being funded. So as 1 year is being funded, we're also kind of engaging for the following year for those projects to be decided and funded. So it's like a continuous, a parallel process where there are still projects happening based on the previous year's results while we're engaging for the upcoming year.
Thank you. They have any, oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah,
Anyone else?
anyone else in the room have any questions?
Just around this something. I think this is last the alarm program. Yeah, that is from last year. I just not clear, but I think maybe continue to do some program to the public, to the community, and do some discussing some the program is
And more outreach, you think like more awareness in the community?
Mhm.
Like the
Yeah,
program,
just like maybe they are Chinese media to maybe to give some information to the Chinese community.
yeah, we'd be happy to. Also, one thing to note, all of our assets, we do provide it in also in 11 different languages that we, it's 11 or 12 different languages.
Mhm.
So we do also provide assets in in Mandarin, also Cantonese, Spanish, Urdu, Bengali. The list is, it essentially encompasses all of the language communities that we service through our VLA program.
Which is a voter languages.
Yeah, which is our Borough Language Assistance Program. So we do provide assets, so I would be happy to share those with you so that we can make sure to engage more Chinese speaking voters as well, or residents. Do you have a question?
So, if how exactly you know promote with differently because we have a many media have a like a print, digital, social media, and articles. So and you see event people something. So how you can promote like in Chinese community.
Yeah, so our kind of campaign encompasses like I would say three core components, which is one, our digital engagement, so our social media, website, email marketing, partnerships with other organizations to blast in their newsletters. Then we also do kind of in-person outreach and partnerships. So I would say that's one, we have an outreach team that internally engages. They collaborate with other city agencies and other organizations to bring them into the fold, as well as we have key partnerships with organizations throughout the city. I believe it's about, well, it's almost 100 or over 100 partners that we have throughout the city. The specifically the Chinese population, I'm not exactly sure what that number. We do engage, we do focus on like language communities as well. So I know there are partners that do engage Chinese speakers specifically, just don't have that number
I
exactly.
can name a couple of them. We work with the Chinese Progressive Association. It's based on the Lower East Side, and we also work with the Chinese American Planning Council. So those are two of our biggest partnering organizations that serve the Chinese community specifically.
And we're meeting with Welcome to Chinatown next week.
Oh, nice.
To that.
Yeah. Yeah, last year, we are largest Chinese school weekly newspaper, and also we have English newspapers. They're top digital as well, and we have also very strong social media. But last year, we didn't receive more information, even advertising. We didn't get any advertising, so hopefully, we can get more information from your part to our reader.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing of our goal this year also is to involve press a little bit more in our strategy. So that's why we have this roundtable and are trying to think of different ways to involve press in getting the word out there. Because even though we do have our own outlets, we think it's really important to have a collaborative relationship with media outlets that can expand our reach and reach communities directly where we may not necessarily have a foothold. And I think the language communities are one of the biggest ones that we really want to expand our engagement with.
Did you want to say anything about ad buys and how they work?
Oh, yeah.
That was it, because we don't necessarily work directly with them.
Yeah, so there's a specific allotment that's, so for the ad buys in terms of a for city agency, we work with a vendor, and our vendors are assigned through the city portal. And essentially those vendors will let us know which outlets they have relationships with, and based on the vendors' relationships is that outlets how we would target specific demographic or language community. It changes, it's changed, it might change this year because it's a new administration, so we don't know if the ad process might be different or be the same. So that's kind of up to figure out, but in terms of which outlet is selected, that kind of shifts based on the vendor that we're assigned. For folks online, do you guys have any questions?
Yes, Gonzalo from the Bronx Daily.
Yes.
So technically you answered all my questions, but I just wanted to get clarification on a few things, if that's okay.
Of course.
So the first question, or the first clarification, is the budget went from 5 to 4 million. Is that because a percentage in the budget every year, or is that something specific that happened this quarter?
It's it's not percent of the budget, it's the funding for participatory budgeting. It's not currently allocated in that manner. We started with a $5 million process in the first year. And because of, I'm sure you all remember that the city went through a period of cutting and essentially trying to balance the budget, and many agencies' budgets were reduced in that process. And so this was one of the cuts that happened, and we're hoping that we can, get that restored. But but it was actually even less. It was 3.5 million. Was it the second year? Due to the cuts, and then we went back up to 4. So hopefully we're on an increase.
It's also at the discretion of the mayor. It's
Right.
not, there's no set amount every year. It's whatever the mayor decides.
The next one is, I think it's a great idea, you know, the different age groups. I know you mentioned that the 14 to the 15 for sure were used last year or participated last year, excuse me.
Yeah.
Have you guys had as young as 12 or was there someone as young as 12?
We had a 12-year-old in Staten Island, I think, last year.
Yeah,
Well, I want to also stress that we're talking specifically about one part of this program. In the voting phase, that is open to anyone who's 11 and older, and we have a lot of young people voting on the projects. It's that for this specific part, where people are sitting around a table discussing, it's 25 people, you know, it's different age consideration for that one. And there's parental permission that's required and things like that, so it's a little bit different for this phase that we're doing from January to February. But once the ballots are open with the projects, anybody 11 and older can vote.
yeah, I think when we mentioned the 15 and 14-year-old, it was just to emphasize, kind of like how youth are involved in the process and how in the random sortition result that came out this year, we were able to get, 2 high school aged youth, involved in the process.
Yes, and I want to make sure the clarification because I want to see if we can try to expand the age group to, you know, as many as we can get. And the last clarification is, I think you hit on it around. There's a part that for the approval process is they're randomly selected like from a pile of people that had registered or just, you know, throw a pin in.
Yeah, great question. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, it is open online. Anybody can apply through our portal. But we also do in-person recruitment at all the idea generation sessions we held, which was over 400, close to 500 this year.
Yeah.
So they recruit people at those sessions. And I said, we got 1,163 applications. And then we randomly select 25 per borough from that based on such demographic.
Yeah, and the random selection is also based on the borough's demographic, so it's considered of age, income.
It's age, income, education, and then also housing status and language spoken.
Yeah, to really ensure that the group kind of is reflective of the borough's diversity.
All right, thank you very much. Those were my clarifications. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. CC, Rico, do you guys have any questions?
I'm sorry, no, I'm actually just listening in. So no, I don't have any questions at this point.
Rico, do you have any questions? No. Yeah.
I think you have maybe a schedule for the whole year, maybe one period, the other period, then continue to.
Like all the timelines?
Yes, maybe a program for the promotion for some time. That means it's clear the schedule.
Yeah, I can send you a graphic that has like a timeline of the process.
It's also all outlined on our website, participate.nyc.gov. as well. And you can also find more information about the Borough Assemblies and all the phases, but the selection process and more information on the website as well.
Some documents, some maybe
Yes.
institute.
Yeah, I can send that after this meeting. I can send a follow-up with the our website information and also a document that focuses the timeline and how like the process overlaps.
Implementation videos.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the implementation videos. Yes, we have videos about each of the projects that were funded that were implemented last year. So that means they were voted on the year before. And we call them the What's in Your Borough, so folks can find out what projects are happening in their borough. And we'll share those with you as well, so we can kind of get a vision as to like what the real life impact of the projects are. Any other questions?
Are these Saturday sessions also going to be like streamed or accessible remotely or not?
No, that's really one focus of our process is the in-person kind of aspect. And we found, in years past, just due to some, one year with weather, we had to do one session online, so it was a huge snowstorm. Another year we got, the schedule was mistaken and we had to do it online. But the intention is for us to be in person because people get so much out of that in-person interaction and engagement and people really crave it and enjoy it, So we try to, we don't stream them online. They're not open to the public. It's really just that crew of 25 that works really diligently and closely together in these in-person sessions.
I think it also, the reason why we don't publicize these sessions is also to allow folks in the room to be like a little more comfortable expressing their own lived experiences and being vulnerable.
Mm.
I think it allows them to be more comfortable in the space, connect with their neighbors, and like, yeah, explore different components or considerations when looking at an idea that they may not have considered before.
We definitely do get asks from selected members, like, can we do this online at first? But by the end of it, everyone really understands that in-person engagement and interaction is really valuable and they wouldn't have wanted it to be something unless there was a huge snowstorm, which has happened.
Yeah, and just, I want to just underscore that, like, it's rare, to have opportunities to have this kind of deep engagement over a set amount of time with people who are really thinking together about coming up with solutions to a problem. And I think this is a model that we would love to scale and bring to other issues and policies, and also just create hopefully strengthen the process over time with more and more people participating. I think we're doing pretty great for being a relatively new office. We're kind of moving from our infancy into toddlerhood.
You guys mentioned the sessions are fewer and longer. How long were these individual sessions before? How long?
We started in year one, we had lots of discussions about how much time we could get New Yorkers to sit still for us. And they were 12 hours in year one.
So
Total per borough.
Yeah.
So what, 4 sessions at 12-hour?
They went 4 to 6. It was very, we let them sort of develop their own sessions in year one, but then it went up to about 16 to 14, and then it went up to 20. And then it was 20 over 6 sessions, and now we're doing the 20 over.
So it's 5-hour sessions.
Yeah.
over the course of 4 minutes. And one thing, like Benjamin said, like we started off with 2-hour sessions on weeknights, 6 times. And that was clearly not enough
Not
for people to get in there and really start thinking about things and integrate the data that they're learning about with their lived experiences, have conversations. So then we expanded to like 3 hours on weeknights. And people still said, we wish these sessions were longer. We want to stay here for more time. We want uninterrupted time. So this year is the first year we're doing sort of like half day sessions, 12 to 5, 4 sustained consecutive sessions. So we'll see how.
And it's also, we've hit at the moment 25 people per borough, which is the most. We've shot for that before, and we got to the 2018, whatever, this year we got 25 people that are enthusiastically coming to this. So it's just to go back to like the citizen assembly, the civic assemblies around the world are used to solve many governmental issues, from land use issues to end of life issues to you name it. They're out there, youth homelessness, abortion and same-sex marriage in Ireland. There's a lot of climate issues being discussed, a lot of climate assemblies. So we do it for this particular process, and as Dr. Said said, we'd like to expand it, but it is expanded around.
Cool. Do you have any other questions or comments?
There's a major participatory budgeting process in China, and I forget what the city is. I'll have to get that for you, but there is, it's done there too. So I'll find out the city and share it.
I think we're ready to wrap up. If there's folks have no more questions. As I said, after the session, I'll follow up with the recording, some graphics to kind of give you understanding of our timeline, as well as information about our upcoming launch event. If you guys would like to attend our launch event, it's happening this Saturday, at NYU on 17th Street. It starts from 12 o'clock, from 12 to 5, as Hillary mentioned earlier. This is essentially the first session where all assembly members are getting together. We call it our all borough session because it's the first and only time where all the boroughs are together, all the borough assemblies are together in one room, connecting with each other, learning from city agencies. And it'll be a really beautiful event. They'll be interacting both as a cohort and also as a group overall. And yeah, if you, when I send the assets, feel free to let me know if you're interested in attending, and we can definitely make sure you get access to the space. You can take photos, talk to some fellow assembly members if you'd like. Yeah, just feel free to let us know how you would like to promote this opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Erin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
As
Yeah,
well.
thank you for attending, and I'll be sure to follow up via email.
Thank you.
It was nice enough to look up, forgive my pronunciation, it's